Are you tired of your plans never working out? Do your bullet journals look like doo-doo water? Does your handwriting suck in general? Well, do I have the solution for you? The reason your plans aren't working is because your planning network is boring. Okay, let me show you what you should have been using this entire time. Let me show you the beauty of Google Sheets. Okay, are you seeing this right now on my screen? The reason your plans don't work out is because you have a gamer brain. Okay, let me zoom in so you can see this glory that I've created right now. Okay, at the top, you have your name and, of course, your title. What is your goal? Okay, you have to make it interesting, or else your gamer brain is going to get bored. That's why none of your plans ever work out, okay? The coolest thing about this Google Sheets that I made, that I'm going to show you how to do today, is this beautiful button EXP system, okay? So normally when you write your skills down on a piece of paper, it's extremely boring because it's on paper. There's no buttons, there's no EXP for you to have fun with. So let me show you the beauty that I have created here today. So since your handwriting sucks, as we've established, with this you can choose any font you want, obviously, right? You can also organize all your goals that you want to have with your perfect OCD, okay? You see, I have also created fun names for each of the skills that I want to craft. So you see, we have, of course, for my Clout Chaser title, we have Twitter God and YouTube Overlord, okay? So each of these skills, you can name whatever you want, and you can even add a description for each of these with the majesty of Google Sheets, okay? We also have a progress bar you can create using a bar chart. That'll show your EXP. And once you reach this full bar of EXP, you will level up, which will be a great reward, okay? So we have all our list of skills here, but the coolest part that I have not shown you yet, you can update your progress by, watch this. You're gonna be so impressed. You click a button, okay, watch this. So say I've updated my Twitter God skill here because I obviously post very frequently. I'm gonna click this button. Oh my God, it updates the button for you. And it also updates the EXP bar so you can see the progress you are making. Oh my God, incredible. Okay, and once you reach 10, okay, so say I have finally leveled up my Twitter God status, obviously, because I post every single day and I'm on that grind set. So once you reach level 10, okay, it will update you to level 2 automatically, okay? Some other things I've added. When you level up, of course your stats have to go up as well. So for my Twitter skill here, for example, it says increases when you post on Twitter, and I get more charisma, obviously, as a clout chaser. So you see my stat increased, and I also get some money to spend, okay? So if you have an item you've been wanting to get for a long time as a reward for yourself, you should create an inventory and things that you can get after you do your or complete your goals, okay? So this is the majesty of Google Sheets, and I'm going to show you today how to make your life like an RPG and make your goals a lot more fun to achieve, okay? You don't need fancy paper, you don't need good handwriting. You can do all of this for free with Google Sheets, and I'll even show you how to code these cool buttons to make your stats fantastic. Okay, so here we go. Let's get started. Okay, so the first most important part of your Google Sheets experience is going to be, of course, to choose a name for yourself. So let's say you don't want your boring ass name. Okay, let's make a cool name for yourself. So you can format this however you want, of course, because it's your beautiful, wonderful goal sheet, okay? But I'm going to just put my name in the top cell here for A1. And, of course, I'm just going to put my beautiful username. Also, yes, you will be hearing the clacking of my keyboard. Why? Because I spent $30 on a mechanical keyboard, and you're going to enjoy it. If you hear my family in the background, please enjoy as well, because I do not live alone. All right, so next thing you're going to do is you want to create a title for yourself, okay? So, like I said, my goal right now is to be a clout chaser. But maybe you have a different goal in your life. Let's say you are a Shrek enthusiast. So maybe my title will be Shrek, I don't know. Let's keep Shrek, I don't know. That's all I got right now, okay? Shrek enthusiast, sure. Kind of lame, but all right. And cool thing with Google Sheets, of course, as you probably know, you can increase and change the size of these wonderful columns. So if you want it to be even more OCD, right? Like the T is sticking out over this little box here, you can just grab it from the top. There you go. Fantastic. Okay? And of course, you're going to want to change the font so your eyes don't burn while you're doing this. Let's pick the best font that everybody uses in a non-ironic manner. Do I even have it on here for this great joke I'm going to make? There we go. Fantastic. Wow. It's just like I'm playing Undertale. Part of the RNG experience. Okay. Or RPG experience. Okay, there you go. Make it whatever size you want. Like I said, spread it out a little bit if you're feeling a little OCD. Congratulations. You finished the first step. Putting your name and a title. So, what else you can do? You can use this cool little square to add some borders if you want to add little lines around your boxes. And right next to that, we have a little color. So, since I am a Shrek enthusiast, of course, I'm going to choose green. There we go. Fantastic. Maybe a lighter green for the title. Here we go. Beautiful stuff. Okay? First step completed. Now, here comes the most fun part. As you can see on my sheet, I have some beautiful skills. This is going to be the main meat and the funnest part of this project is writing out all the skills that you want to learn, okay? So let's skip a couple lines. Maybe I'll skip, I don't know, to this amount here. And you're going to create the columns that you want, okay? For example, since I am a wonderful gamer, just as you are, I'm obviously going to want to have a column for the levels, okay? The next thing you're going to want, most important, is the name of your skill. So you're just going to put skill here. Beautiful. And of course, we want our lovely progress bar. So I'm going to put progress here. And you're going to be able to want to see the EXP that you gain. And lastly, you're going to have a column for all your beautiful buttons. As you can see here, we go from A to D. And that's what I did on this sheet as well. Okay, so you're probably going to want to start your level out at level 1, okay? And like I said, the skills, you can name whatever you want. So for my beautiful role-playing experience, I am a Shrek enthusiast. Maybe my skill is, let's say, reviewing onions, okay? Let's call me a rotten onion reviewer, okay? There you go. Because onions have layers, and of course I have to know that as an ogre Shrek enthusiast. So next thing you're going to want to add is maybe a description of your skill, okay? So how it increases, what kind of things are you going to get from doing this skill, okay? So what you can do, of course, this is optional. Maybe it's just for you. You don't need to know what rotten onions does as a skill, because inherently you already know, because you're just incredible. Okay, you're going to right-click, and there's something called Insert Note here. And you could just type whatever you want. So like I did for my skills, I just wrote a quick little description. Let's say increases every time you eat an onion. An onion. Okay, great. So what are you going to get from this skill? I said maybe you're going to gain some defense because onions have a lot of layers. So with all those layers, you're going to get more defensive stats, okay? Also, you're going to get charisma because nobody fucking eats onions. Only you do. So that will be a very impressive trait that you can show off at parties. You can be that one person who goes to the kitchen and eats the host's onions. Okay. All right, so now we have our first skill. Congrats. Now, this is the fun part. You're going to make a progress bar. So that's where it shows all your beautiful, fun EXP. But before we can make that progress bar, you have to actually choose how much EXP you need to level up your skill. Okay, so to do this, say you want a skill that increases every 10 times you do it. Okay, so if you want to be able to, say, work out every single day, you would probably, there's 7 days in a week, right? So maybe you would put 7 here on range from 1 to 7. So that way you do it 7 times, and each week you do it, it would mean you've done it for a full week straight. So if you were level 2, that'd mean you've done it 14 days in a row, right? Fantastic job. For my purposes, I like to just keep it on a range of 1 to 10. That way, it's just easy math for me. Oh, I'm level 2. That means I've done this 20 times, right? I practiced this 20 times. I've gone to bed on time 20 times, etc. So how many times do I want to eat onions and be able to keep track? Let's say 10 times. What you're going to do is you're going to right-click on that wonderful cell, and you're going to go to View More Cell Actions and Data Validation. So this is the fun part. Here, you can set a criteria, a list from a range, list of items, numbers, etc. Okay, so we're going to do list of items, and you get to enter all the items that you want to put in here. So like I said, if you want numbers 1 through 10, you would just put 1, 2, and you would just separate them all with commas, of course. And if you wanted 50, right, you'd label it 1 through 50. 4, 7, 8, 9. And of course, we have 10. So I also included 0 in my list here just because when you level up, right, you want it to start brand new, fresh at 0. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay, you don't actually have to make this a data validation, because if you want it instead, you can just manually enter it into the cell. So say the range is 1 through 5. Once you get 5 XP, you can just put a 5 in here. And once your button is there, it will add it automatically. The only reason I like to have it in this range is for this nice little drop-down menu that you get. And it also keeps the progress bar to make sure it's in between that range. So this is optional, but I just like it for my beautiful aesthetic purposes, okay? So now here is the fun part. You're going to use something called Spark Line to make your progress bar. So I would give yourself maybe a little bit more space just so you can see the beautiful EXP progress you are making. So like I said, you're going to use something called Spark Line here. Here's the code. Literally, you just write Spark Line at the top. You pick the name of the cell, and you type a bunch of shit in here, which I will explain. Okay, so let me so first thing you do, you're going to set this equal to sparkline in all caps. Okay, make sure you're spelling it correctly, unlike me. Okay, after that, notice it says data and options. So even if you don't know the format, there's a nice little button that says expand details here, and it shows you exactly what the hell you need to write. So what you're going to do, the number in here, okay, so if it's 0 through 10, whatever, if I have 5 EXP here, when I click 5, this progress bar should go to 5, okay? So you're putting inside the spark line, you have the name of the cell that you're grabbing the numbers from, okay? Your EXP, where are you getting it from? That's the cell that goes first. Then inside brackets, you have chart type, okay? You have the name of the type of graph, which is a bar. You're going to put max, okay, for the max amount of EXP you want in here. And for our purposes, I'm going to put 10 in this example. Remember, you can put whatever number you want here. You're welcome. Okay, so you'll notice this has a very ugly orange color, right? But for my beautiful Shrek-themed RPG plan, I want it to be some kind of green. So you're going to add color 1. The reason it's called color 1, I believe, is because when you have bar graphs, sometimes they let you like make different graphs within the same one. So like you have color 1 and color 2 for your different bars, right? So for our purposes, this is just one single bar graph inside the cell. So that's why you choose for color 1. And we're going to look up and Google some beautiful hex for green. Okay, hex, green colors. Here we go. And if you just look on Google, you'll have these beautiful pictures. Usually you'll find something like this, and then you can just copy whatever the thing is. Let's say I want moss green. I'm going to do 466D1D. So I would type that exactly. There we go. So now you've seen this is turned to a beautiful moss green color. Okay, so now we have our skills done. So it's up to you to pick the rest of the skills that you want. Okay, like I said, this is the fun part of the video. You get to, maybe I want another skill that is not rotten onions. Let's say, did I spell rotten right? Like I said, you don't need a big brain for this. Okay, rotten onions. Maybe I want another skill to be, or I'll even say this, donkey yeller, okay? Because he yells at donkey a lot in that thing. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go data validation. And you know what? You don't even need to do this. What you can do is just click on the cell that has your beautiful data evaluation already in it, and you'll see this blue box. You could just drag it down and it will copy the exact same format for you. Same for this. You don't need to type in that sparkline nonsense again. You just drag it down and it does it for you. Notice when I click on it, it automatically changed the cell that it's grabbing the number from to D8. So this is literally anybody can do this, okay? So go ahead, pick out a couple skills. You'll notice in my old sheet here, I also separated it into like a bunch of different categories, right? I have like career skills, I have life skills here, get a hobby skills, things you want to do, right? So like I have hypno skills here, so increases when you sleep on time, right? I get HP and defense every time I do it. For a hobby skill, obviously I have pro gamer, and it increases when I play games, and of course I get smarter every time I play games, okay? So go ahead and make some beautiful skills for yourself, and we'll move on to part 2. All right, so now you have your basic stuff down here, and you're going to want, this is optional, but I like to add some kind of stat bar here, okay? So like you saw in mine here, I got a couple different stats. I got HP, defense, intelligence. I got charisma as well, of course. So I'm gonna add maybe some little stat stuff. Maybe I got HP, maybe I got charisma next. I got intelligence also, of course, and I got some defense here. Beautiful, fantastic. Okay, so like I said, this is yours to customize. If you want more skills, more stats, go ahead, add those in, okay? So I'm just going to do this. I'm gonna color it however the hell I want. Maybe I'll make this a beautiful, where's my light green? Maybe I'll make the numbers a dark green, sure. Get to customize it. That is a light green color. Let's do this one. Maybe I'll write in all my stuff here. Let's say they all start out at 1. So if you think you're already buff, say one of your skills is being buff, and you're like, I'm already buff, of course you can set your default stats to whatever you want, but I like to set it to 1 so that I can see my improvement personally from the 1 week I've been doing this. So please enjoy. All right. Feel free to customize as you want. I'm going to do that really quick. Like I'm going to center the stuff because it's bothering me. All right, so after you finish customizing your chart as you want, now we're getting to the actual sexy part of this video, okay? This is the code, and I'll show you all the stuff I've coded so far. So those buttons, for them to work, you have to add some code. And let me give you a quick preview of my code. So if I scroll down here, oh boy, Juchi, that's looking like a lot of fucking code. I don't know how to code. Sure, that's okay. I didn't know how to code in Sheets either. And I'm going to show you it's actually pretty fucking simple. Okay, like all this looks intimidating, right? It's really not. And I'll show you why that is. So to run code on this, which is pretty cool, you actually have to grab an image. So if you see on mine here, every time I click this button, right? That's when the stats actually go up, they increase to 2, etc., right? These buttons aren't actually in the cell. These are images over the box, and I just made it small to fit inside the cell. So what you're gonna do, obviously, is pick out a beautiful button you want. So I'm just gonna go here to insert, I'm gonna get an image, and I'm gonna make it over the cell. So the reason you're gonna make your image over the cell, if you make it in the cell, it won't treat your image as a button that you can add a code to. If it's inside the cell, you can't code it, which is pretty dumb, but you're gonna have to make sure it's over the cell. So this is the fun part, of course. You're gonna pick an image you want. Notice there's a beautiful Google image search here where you can just search for what you want. So for example, if I want a transparent Shrek face image, maybe I would type in Shrek, okay? Maybe I can spell Shrek face PNG. Usually I found that if you type in PNG, you'll get some transparent results. So, oh God, these look hideous. Why? Oh God. I'm just going to tell you right now, the Google image search is not the same through Sheets as it is if you just Google it yourself. You're going to get some very fantastic results. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, have mercy. I like how it jumps to the donkeys immediately. Okay, maybe I really like this cursed image here, and I want that as my button. Oh Lord. Okay, that looks about good for the button that I want. So I'm just going to resize it, make it a little bit smaller. And it's changing color because I have force negative on here. So he's going to be really hard to see. So we're just going to enjoy that very creepy ghost-like looking Shrek, okay? So what I would do is just pick a color for here as well. Maybe want a darker green. Okay, great. Let's grab my little cursed Shrek image. And let's just pop him inside here. So this is now going to be my button image. There we go. We have our cursed Shrek with no ears inside that box. Okay, so you're just going to copy that. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and you'll get a bunch of him. You can just stick it into each of those little boxes you made for the button, like so. Okay, and now is the cool part with the coding that I keep talking about. All right, here we go. Okay, so like I said, you have to code each of these buttons to make them actually work when you press on them. So what you're going to do is go to extensions up here, and there's something that's called apps script, and you're going to click on it, and it's going to open a project for you, and you can call this, of course, whatever you want. If you want to have the same name as your spreadsheet, congratulations. Maybe I'll just call this, let's call it Shrek Code. Great. Okay, and you'll see right away they have created a function for you called myFunction. Okay, so what functions are in code if you've never coded before? It's basically a shortcut, or it's a way to call all the code that you're going to write inside here. So for my function purposes, so like you're going to have to code each of these buttons in order for them to work when you click on them, okay? So let's say I'm making this button for my skill Rotten Onions. So every time I click this, right, it should up my EXP for my Rotten Onions. So I'm going to call this probably Rotten Onions, just for my sanity and so that I know what the hell it's doing. So I'm going to call this Rotten Onions. Congratulations, you've just written your first function. Round of applause. Good job. Fantastic. All right, and let me show you the code that I wrote. Okay, so for my first skill here, it is called Twitter, and you're going to see this very nasty looking piece of junk, and I'm going to copy and paste because I personally don't want to write it again. Okay, so what you're seeing on screen here is some code that I'm going to explain. So what this is you are calling the spreadsheet and telling it what cell to grab, okay? So you'll see this is a built-in function call here. It's called spreadsheet app, okay? That's calling the code inside Google Sheets, okay? And I'm telling it to get the active sheet. So that means the page that I'm currently on. So if I go back here, I'm telling it, okay, look at this sheet 1 that I'm on right now, because that's where I'm clicked on, right? And I'm going to tell it to get the range of D9 to D9. That is going to be right here. But what I want it to actually grab, okay, what you want to grab for the EXP is whatever box that your first skill's EXP is in, okay? The reason we're doing that is because each time you press on this button, right, you want it to add 1 to your EXP level. It's like, oh, I did it. So I'm going to click this cursed Shrek head, and it should add 1 to your EXP. So you need to grab this cell to tell it to add to this box. Okay, that's what the first line is. So for my purposes, this is going to be D7. So whatever box you ended up in, you're going to write that, your first EXP box, okay? So like I said, mine is D7. So I'm going to write in the range here, D7 for both, okay? So the reason I named this variable EXP is because I am grabbing the EXP, okay? So you can actually name these whatever the hell you want. The name doesn't matter as long as you keep it lowercase. You see, like for my function, I kept it lowercase at the beginning, right? And for my variable, I called it lowercase exp. The reason for that is the only capital stuff is usually the built-in functions, like so. So if you try to capitalize this, it's going to turn pink and it's going to be a little confused. You see this? It's going to try to look for a built-in function that doesn't exist. Since I'm writing it myself, you probably want it to be a lowercase one, like so. Okay, so all this is I'm setting this long-ass line. So this long line, all it does is grab cell D7 with my EXP in it, okay? I'm setting this equal to a variable, okay, as a shortcut. If I did not have this here, every time I wanted to access that box, I would have to write this big-ass long line of code, which is disgusting, right? So that's why I'm setting this equal to EXP. So every time I want to grab the box, I just type in the word EXP, okay? Makes sense so far, hopefully. Okay, the next thing I did is we're gonna create another variable. Okay, I call this exp amount, and you're going to do exp.get the value and multiply it by 1 using this little asterisk kind of character here. The reason I am now multiplying this box that I just grabbed by 1 is because if you look at cells or Google Sheets, you can write a lot of things in each cell, right? If I just click back really quick, you'll see you can put letters in here, right? You could put numbers, you could put special characters, you could put a lot of things in there. So what I'm doing right now by multiplying it by 1 is I'm telling my code here that what's inside is a number. If I'm multiplying by a number, oh, that means what I just grabbed must be a number, right? So I'm getting the value inside the box I just grabbed and multiplying it by 1. So that way it knows, oh, the exp amount or the exp in that box is a number. So this exp amount, all it did was convert the inside of the box to a number. Okay, so this exp amount is the one that you're going to be using because that is the actual number value. Okay, so exp equals the box. Exp amount equals the number inside that box. Okay, so stay with me so far. Okay, fantastic. Let's take a look at the second part of the code that I made. So the next part you're going to need is you're going to need to grab the box with your level in it. Okay, the reason for this, let me just paste it in there, is the same reasoning. You're going to grab where your level is, and you're going to need to know what your current level is. Okay, so for mine, here you'll see my first level box is in A7. Okay, so I'm going to write in this range to grab the box A7. Okay, so same exact thing, right? So the box that has the level in it is this whole long ass spreadsheet get app, get the active sheet, get the range in that box. And to get the actual number value, remember you have to multiply it by 1. Okay, with me so far? Not too bad, right? Okay, all we did was just grab the numbers. That's all we've done so far. Okay, let's take the next look at my code. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1, right? So the whole point of this button is to add exactly 1. So I'm going to go to here, just going to paste it for our viewing pleasure. So what you want to do is add 1 every time that you press this button. That's the whole point. So what I did is I actually made, okay, stay with me. I made a separate function that adds 1 every time and gives me the new changed number by adding 1. Okay, so the reason I am making a second function, okay, so a function just like rotten onions, is because if I put all the code in here, it's going to look really long and really nasty. Okay, so this might get a little complicated, okay, but you're going to follow with me because you know you can do this. So I'm going to make a second function, like I said here. This is the name of my function. I'm calling it add1. And I'm adding in these 2 things that we just created, okay? So I'm adding in the name of the cell, and I'm adding in the number that's inside the cell. And I'm passing these 2 things into a separate function, okay? So we're going to call this function, let's call it add1 for my sanity. And of course, since you're making the function yourself, you can call it whatever you want, okay? And I did that wrong. Please work for me. What are you doing? So I'm going to write here, add 1. Okay, so before this was empty, right? If you'll notice these little parentheses, because this is what's known as a void function in that you don't pass anything in. So this function right now is going to be activated when you click on the button, right? When you click on the button, you aren't passing anything into it, right? But we're about to write a function that is going to add 1 to the current exp amount, right? So that means to add 1, I need these 2 things. I need the exp, right? I need the cell where it's in, and I also need the number inside that cell. So I'm going to pass those 2 things into my add1 function. So I'm going to do exp, and I'm going to add exp amount here, amount, okay? So I'm telling this that I need those 2 things inside this function, okay? Very cool. With me so far? Fantastic. All right, next thing we're going to do, let's take a look what I did. So I made that extra function here. So if your exp, I'm just going to copy this beautiful thing that I've already written, and I'll explain over here. Okay, so if your EXP is less than 10, okay, that's when you're going to add 1. Okay, so for example, when this is less than 10, every time I click on it, I want it to add 1, right? So if I'm at 5, when I click on it, it should go to 6, etc. But when I'm actually at 10, if I add 1, it's going to go to 11, right? But I set my max range for this to be 10, as you can see. So what you're going to get is an error here if that happens. What I want instead, if this is already 10, for the level to go up, right? And I just want this to revert back to 0. So what we're going to do in this beautiful code that you are now learning how to do is this first line here, okay? You're going to write if the EXP amount is less than 10, right? Okay, that's your number of EXP, whatever it is. If it's less than 10, we use the less than sign. You're going to set the value inside the cell. So notice this one is now EXP because that's the name of your box, okay? So you're going to grab the box. You're going to set the value inside that box to the number inside the box, which is EXP amount, and you're going to add 1, okay? I know that's a little convoluted here. Remember, EXP is the name of the box. EXP amount is the number in the box, okay? So I'm setting the value of the box equal to the number inside the box plus 1, okay? Everybody with me so far? All right, you got this. Next thing we're going to do is grab the EXP amount, right? And we're going to find that new value. So what I did right now is I added 1, right? But now we need to change the amount of the box to EXP value times 1 again, because I got to get that new value that we just created, okay? So I'm going to set the variable, the amount, equal to that plus 1 that we just did. So basically, if this was 5 right now, 5 is less than 10, right? Great. I'm going to set that box equal to 5 plus 1. So that box is now 6, okay? Now what I'm going to do is, remember, I'm just going to update the amount that I have and make it 6, okay? So I'm just grabbing the box number again and updating the variable, okay? So like before this, the number would have stayed as 5, right? I am just updating what the code knows is inside that box, okay? So here it was 5, here it's 6, and I'm telling it, yes, it is in fact 6. The new number is 6. That's all I did. And what you're going to do is return that new amount, that's 6, okay? So if the number was already greater than 10, this whole if statement and everything inside it would not be activated, okay? And it would just return the number and not add anything if it was 10 already. So that's all this does, okay? So that's all that function did. So now let's go back to our main rotten onion skill here. And it says the EXP amount is equal to add 1. So this is just basically what this code does is just update the value inside that box, okay? And now we have the new value inside our EXP amount. So this has the updated plus 1 value, okay? All right, next part of the code. Let's see what I did. Okay. Okay, so the next part is just going to be checking whether or not you met the level up, okay? So let me copy this. Okay, so if your EXP has met, so after you've added 1, right? If your EXP is greater than or equal to 10, that means it's time to level up, right? And you're also going to want to increase whatever stat that you need to increase, right? So we're going to add a couple new functions. As you can see here, I have something called level up. That means I'm going to make a nice little level up function. Okay, so I'm going to add another function here. And let's just call this one function level up. Once again, you can call these whatever you want. Okay, so in order to level up, there's a couple things I'm going to need to check, right? Which is why I put them here inside. So I'm going to need the EXP, right? I'm going to need the cell that has the number of EXP in it. I'm going to need my level, right? The cell that has the level in it. And I'm going to need the amount in the level. So once again, I'm going to add those things in. So I need to see what my EXP is. I need to see what my level, or where my level is, and the amount in that level. So my actual current level. Okay, and let's get in that. You are going to set the value in your EXP to 0. Okay, so this is activating, okay, this level up is activating because your EXP amount is greater than or equal to 10, right? So the first thing you got to do once you reach 10 EXP, right, is you got to set it back to 0 because you want to start leveling up on the next level, right? So you're going to set this EXP, okay? You're going to set that box, set the value to 0, okay? The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to set the value equal, you're going to add 1 to your level value, okay? That's the next thing you're going to do. You're going to set level, set value to current level plus 1, okay? So all you're doing is adding 1 to your current level, okay? So you grab the box and set it equal to your level. So if I'm level 1 right now, I'm just adding 1 to the inside of that box. So now I should be level 2, okay? That's all that does. If my EXP is greater than or equal to 10, what I'm gonna wanna do is level up, and depending on what yours is, what did I say for my rotten onions? It says my defense and charisma goes up. So maybe I'm gonna want a function that says charisma up, and maybe I'm gonna want a function that increases my defense, okay? So I'll add those two. Oh, and remember to add semicolons after everything, because that's telling the computer that it's the end of the statement, okay? Next up. Okay, so let's see what I did to raise up the stats. So these are pretty easy too. I'll show you. I made functions for those. So let's say I wanted my charisma to go up. It's pretty much the exact same thing that we've done before. Okay, let's just go to the top here. Let's add another function. And this one's going to be function. And you're going to call this, I don't know, let's do charisma up. Here we go. Okay, and this is what I wrote, basically. So what you're gonna do is do the same thing we've done before. So you're gonna grab the box that has your stat, okay? So I set charisma equals to where that box is, okay? So I gotta grab the box. So in my case, this would be E2. So I'm gonna write in here, once again, E2 and E2, okay? Oops, E2. All right, fantastic. So once again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm multiplying it by 1 to tell it, yes, the number inside is a number, and I want that number, okay? And then all I'm going to do is set that value to plus 1, okay? So I got the box in this first statement, okay? And then I told it it's a number in the second statement. And in the third statement, I'm setting that box to the number inside and adding 1 to that number. Okay, that's all you're doing for these wonderful functions. Okay, it's just those 3 lines of code. And the reason I put it in its own function is just that so that I don't have to write these 3 lines every single time for every function. Okay, so character up, and you're going to do the same thing and just make a defense up one. So the defense is exactly the same, right? All you're going to have to do is grab the defense box, multiply it by 1 to tell it's a number, and add 1 to your stat, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. And you could do this for all your stats right now if you want to. It's the same thing. So I'm going to make a defense up 1. Fantastic. And all I would do is change the number inside here. So my defense is in E4. So change that to E4. Blah, blah. Change this to E4 as well. Fantastic stuff. Okay, so you don't even have to change all these variables. Like, you can keep it as character and character amount inside because these are inside your function, so it doesn't really matter what you call them. So even though the variable is the same here, character or charisma as the charisma in here, it doesn't matter because it's enclosed inside that function, okay? So like the code inside here is not going to notice any of the code up here. That's why you can name them the same things inside, right? Pretty cool stuff. So just for your sanity, you could change it to defense if you want to, which is usually what I like to do just in case I want to change something. That way I know what it's actually doing. So you don't have to change it, but you can, okay? So let me just change defense here. Okay. And then I'm going to change this to defense also. Remember, if you change one of the variables, you got to change all of them in here. Because I can't leave this, for example, I can't leave this to character.getValue because I don't have a charisma value in here. I've changed the name to defense. So if I told it to do this right now, it wouldn't know what the heck this is. So you have to make sure they all stay nice and uniform. All right. So there we go. They're all changed. So like I said, you can do this for each of your little functions right now. You want to add another one for HP. If I have that, let's have an HP up 1. So just make an HP 1. Maybe I'll have a intelligence 1 as well. And if you added more stats, of course, you're going to have more functions here to help you out. So maybe I'll call this one intelligence up. There you go. And you can just change all these to however you want and have fun with that. All right, so now you have officially finished your code, okay, for your first function. All right, so if we've done everything correctly, this is all the code you're ever gonna need to update and get your button working. So what we're gonna do is hit this beautiful save project button here, and it's gonna save all the wonderful code you've just created. Fantastic job. See, you didn't know how to code, but now you just did. Wow. So now that we've got our code done, you're going to right click on that beautiful Shrek image that you can barely see. And you're going to see these 3 ellipses in the middle. You're going to click on that and you're going to click assign script. So what that is, you're assigning the code you just wrote to this button. It says assign script. It says what script do you want to assign? Well, you already know this because if we look at our code, you're going to tell that button to do the function that you just wrote. So I don't want it to just do add 1, right? I want it to do all this stuff I've written for the skill. So this function that I wrote is called rotten onions, right? For the rotten onions skill. So I'm going to write rotten onions in here. And you don't need the parentheses. You don't need anything. You just need the name, the exact name, how you wrote it. You're going to click OK. And there you go. This now has the script for rotten onions in it. Okay, and once you run it, okay, you should get a pop-up like this that says authorization required, a script attached needs your permission to run. So the reason for this is Sheets needs your permission to run the code you just wrote, right? You just wrote some random code. It doesn't know what the heck is trying to run. So you're just going to click on your account here. And it says Google hasn't verified what's this app, which is hilarious because it's an extension for Google Sheets. So you're just going to click on advanced and just click on go to the name of your code. Mine is Shrek code, right? So it's going to click here and it should authorize your account. It'll allow it to see, edit, create. Yes. See, this is all fine because this is code that you just wrote yourself, okay? If you were getting this pop-up randomly on Sheets and you hadn't done this, then I would be alarmed, right? But you're the one who literally wrote the code. So you're going to write allow. And it's going to say continue. Great. And it should work now. So now when I click on it, it should work exactly as planned. Are you impressed? I'm impressed. Congratulations. Good job. Pat yourself on the back. So every time I click this, you're going to see it goes up just as you wanted to, okay? Fantastic job. You did it. You are officially a coding god, okay? So the real test, though, is to check your limits. So if you had 50 here as your final or 7, you want to put it to that final limit or whatever. Here we go. I'm going to set it to 10 again. I'm going to click here, and it should update our level. Perfect. And you'll see it also increase the stats just like I wanted it to. Very nice job. Congratulations. We've done it, boys. Okay, so, of course, the next problem is, okay, I have 20 more skills to code. The first one works. How the hell do I do the second one? It's the same exact thing, but you're going to have to code this button again. So, since it's a different button, we're going to make a different function. So the reason for that is because these 2 lines, right, are grabbing D7 and A7, but my next ones are in they're in D8 and A8. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the smartest thing you possibly do. Just like I've been doing throughout this tutorial, you're just going to copy and paste what you already wrote. You don't need to write it again, bro. Why would you do that? Why would you do that when you've already gotten it working? So you're just going to copy your rotten onions or whatever. And you're just going to rename it to the name of your new code. So what the hell did I call my skill? Let's call it Donkey Yeller. You call it Donkey for short. It really doesn't matter. As long as you know the name. And you're just going to change those two things. So like I said, it's going to be D8 and A8. Fantastic. And let's say this donkey one, it only increases every time you yell at donkey, just your charisma goes up, not your defense, right? So those would be the only things you change. Which up skills are in here? Is it your HP going up? Then you'd have to write HP up. Is your intelligence going up? Then you'd have to write intelligence up in here, right? That's all you're changing. So just these things you're changing. Just where the cell is, okay, for your level and for your EXP. And you're just changing which stack goes up. That's why we wrote those beautiful things earlier, so we don't have to copy them over and over, okay? So same thing. We wrote the add one function just to make each of these functions shorter. If I didn't write a separate function for add one, that would mean all this code right here, which isn't that much, I mean it's an extra 3 lines, would have to go here instead. So let me show you what it would look like. So I'd have to have all that nastiness in here instead of this one line, okay? So see this? That looks kind of gross in comparison to this, right? It just makes it a lot easier when you have to copy and paste the same function over and over again, which is why I made a function. And there you go. So now my donkey function is complete. So I'm going to save, do the same exact thing. I'm going to click on that beautiful Shrek head. I'm going to assign the script, and this one is called donkey. If I can spell donkey. And now it should work. So I'm going to click here. This should add a beautiful little point every time, baby. Oh yeah, it looks so good. Fantastic. Great job, guys. You have now finished the code. And all you have to do, like I said, just copy and paste it, however many codes you have, and now you are a coding god. Okay, last thing I did for mine. Okay, you'll notice I also have inventory and like a money amount. So every time I level up, I get like some money and stuff. But I don't think that's really super necessary. Maybe I'll make another video if anybody cares about this stuff. And like I added a shop. So every time I buy an item here, it would subtract the wonderful currency I had and it would add it to my inventory. But that's extra stuff, like I said. What I would suggest though, okay, for everybody who just finished coding like gods, is to add like an activity log as a sheet at the bottom, just so you can keep track of all the cool stuff that you leveled up every day. So like for example, this week, I've obviously been playing video games every day. So mine says pro gamer every single day. If you worked out one day, you know, I added my abs enjoyer in here. If you worked on your keyboard skills, then, you know, I added that in for the day. I would suggest doing that just so you can see what you did each day. Because if this is just going up, if you've been doing this for 10 days, you're like, oh wow, I'm level 10. Do you really trust yourself that you didn't accidentally press this button 2 times? Do you know like when you actually did all those things, right? So I would suggest just clicking this nice little plus here. And you could just make a nice little activity log, right? You could put the date up here. You can put the skill you did. Of course, you're going to change the font because this is gross to look at, to your favorite Comic Sans, whatever the hell you want. And something else cool you can do, you can actually change these. I think it's not... You can change this to a date in the same data validation if you right-click. And if it's a valid date, it's going to show up here. So I just click save. So that means every time you click on this, okay, it's going to give you this beautiful little calendar up. So you don't have to write the dates yourself. Okay, I just click what day it is. Is it Friday? Yeah, it is. And notice how it is this ugly backwards format that everybody but America does, right? So you can change this as well if you go to format here. And you can just go to, I think it's number. Yeah, you go to format, number, and you'll see different kind of date styles. If you like the slashes, you can put the slashes. If you want to be crazy like the people on Google Calendar, it'll have date time. It'll tell you the time that you wrote this if you want to be insane like that, you know? If you want to be one of those people that tracks every time you put the skill, you can put the exact time you put it in as well, okay? But for my purposes, you know, I just like the slashes with the date in the wonderful American format here. So once again, format, number, date. There you go. Beautiful. And then in this wonderful skill box, you could just stretch it to however much skill you need. So let's say today I did rotten onions and I yelled at donkey. Okay, I ate an onion. So I would just write rotten onions. And then I would just add donkey yeller in here. Beautiful stuff. And that's how you keep track of your beautiful plans in the gamer way. Okay, congratulations. You're now a coding genius. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful and that you get a lot of your goals done. So me personally, I was supposed to be, drawing stuff for my characters this week, but I got very distracted trying to plan out my stuff because I finished about one portrait for one of the characters in my visual novel. And then I was like, damn, that really took me 12 hours to draw one picture. Oh God, I have 30 more to draw. And I was getting really burned out and it felt terrible. And I was like, oh God, maybe I need to plan out my stuff better so that way I don't get so overwhelmed, right? So that's when I thought of making this. And then I didn't actually really work on my game this week because I was doing this instead. So I think in the future, I'm not really going to do weekly uploads anymore. I want my next video to be more interesting. Like, this is a lot more fun for me to make videos like this where I can actually show like the cool stuff I did, right? Like you get to see all the code I did, you get to see interactable buttons, wow, that move when you click on it, versus like me just showing a video and me voicing over, oh yeah, I did draw some hair today. Wow, that's really cool, right? It's like, yes, I did draw an eyeball in this strand of hair and I colored it in. I feel like that's not as fun for me to make or as fun to watch as stuff where it's actually showing some skills. So I'm hoping maybe next time I post, it'll actually be like some more stuff into my game, like maybe a cutscene or a trailer or something like that. And if I have to make videos, it takes like probably about 8 hours or so to record and then edit everything. So that takes like a whole day out of me being able to draw maybe one more picture or something. So just for my sanity, I think I will be going AFK, but I will be posting all the pictures I make on Twitter and stuff. And maybe I'll make another video for this, like I said, if anybody cares about making like a little like inventory system on Google Sheets, if you want to make a game or whatever, something like that. All right, well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. All right, bye-bye.